This is the 7th and last day of the January 89 retreat. We will read selections from Wang Po and Krishnamurti. Someone already asked me whether I would get to Wang Po. Here we are. Person also asked me, why do you read from Wang Po? People have had various interpretations of it, that this is my ultimate authority, Wang Po and Krishnamurti, that I'm attached to them. And just during retreat I received a letter. Don't remember verbatim what the person said, but are you trying to bring Wang Po and Krishnamurti together in your teaching? We always want to make something out of something, don't we? So in listening to these selections, can the mind be without grasping, without rejecting, without criticizing, without indifference, just simply listening? When the mind is quiet, then maybe something else can come into being. In all the selections that are read, there have been elimination of words, sentences, and paragraphs. Just paragraphs in Krishnamurti, but the other in Wang Po's writings. One has heard most of these selections before, but can the mind receive freshly? Not just the words. The Master said to me, all the Buddhas and all sentient beings are nothing but the one mind, beside which nothing exists. This mind, which is without beginning, is unborn and indestructible. It is not green nor yellow and has neither form nor appearance. It does not belong to the categories of things which exist or do not exist, nor can it be thought of in terms of young or old. It is neither long nor short, big nor small, for it transcends all limits, measures, names, traces, and comparisons. It is that which you see before you. Begin to reason about it and you at once fall into error. It is like the boundless void which cannot be fathomed or measured. The one mind alone is the Buddha, and there is no distinction between the Buddha and sentient beings, but that sentient beings are attached to forms and seek externally for Buddhahood. By their very seeking for it, they lose it, for that is using mind to grasp mind. Even though they do their utmost for a full eon, they will not be able to attain it. People do not know that if they put a stop to conceptual thought and forget their anxiety, it will appear before them. When people of the world hear it said that Buddhas transmit the doctrine of the mind, they suppose that there is something to be attained or realized apart from mind. And thereupon they use mind to seek the truth, not knowing that mind and the object of their search are one. Mind cannot be used to seek something from mind. For then, after the passing of millions of eons, the day of success will still not have dawned. Such a method is not to be compared with suddenly dropping conceptual thought, which is the fundamental truth. So if you students of the way are mistaken about your own real mind, you will consequently look for it elsewhere, indulging in various achievements and practices and expecting to attain realization by such graduated practices. But even after eons of diligent searching, you will not be able to attain to the way. These methods cannot be compared to the sudden dropping of conceptual thought, in the certain knowledge that there is nothing at all which has absolute existence, nothing on which to lay hold, nothing on which to rely, nothing in which to abide, nothing subjective or objective. Eons of striving will prove to be so much wasted effort. Students of the way should understand that the four elements composing the body do not constitute the self, in quotation marks, that the self is not an entity, and that it follows from this that the body is neither self nor entity. Moreover, the five aggregates composing the mind, and that is thinking, sensing, feeling, willing, and the whole consciousness, the five aggregates composing the mind do not constitute either a self or an entity. Hence it follows that the mind is neither self nor entity. The 6 sense organs, including the brain, together with their 6 types of perceptions and so forth, must be understood in the same way. All are separately and together void. There is only mind source, limitless in extent and of absolute purity. This is a dialogue between the disciple and the master. What is the way and how must it be followed? Wangpo, what sort of thing do you suppose the way to be that you should wish to follow it? Questioner, what instructions have the masters everywhere given for meditation practice and the study of the truth? Wangpo, words used to attract the dull of wit are not to be relied on. Questioner, if those teachings were for the dull-witted, I have yet to hear that what truth has been taught to those of really high capacity. And Wangpo's response, if they are really people of high capacity, where could they find people to follow? If they seek from within themselves, they will find nothing tangible. How much less can they find a teaching worthy of their attention elsewhere? Do not look to what is called the truth or the true teaching by preachers, for what kind of preaching or teaching could that be? Questioner, if that is so, should we not seek for anything at all? Wangpo, by conceding this, you would save yourself a lot of mental effort. Questioner, but in this way, everything would be eliminated. There cannot just be nothing. Wangpo, who called it nothing? Who was this fellow? But you wanted to seek for something. Questioner, since there is no need to seek, why do you also say that not everything is eliminated? Wangpo, not to seek is to rest tranquil. Who told you to eliminate anything? Look at the void in front of your eyes. Down the hill, in the sunshine, snow on the grass, birds in the air, the cold breeze. How can you produce it or eliminate it? Questioner, do you mean that we should not form concepts as human beings normally do? Wangpo, I have not prevented you, but concepts are related to the senses, and when feeling takes place and concepts are formed, wisdom is shut out. Questioner, then should we avoid any feeling in relation to the truth? Wangpo, where no feeling arises, who can say that you are right? Questioner, why do you speak as though I was mistaken in all the questions I've asked, Your Reverence? And Wangpo, you are a man who doesn't understand what is said to him. What is all this about being mistaken? Questioner, up to now you have refuted everything which has been said. You have done nothing to point out the true teaching to us. Wangpo, in the true teaching there is no confusion, but you produce confusion by such questions. What sort of truth can you go seeking for? Questioner, since the confusion arises from my questions, what will Your Reverence's answer be? Wangpo, observe things as they are and don't pay attention to other people. There are some people just like mad dogs barking at everything that moves, even barking when the wind stirs among the grass and leaves. When we talk of the knowledge I may gain, the knowledge I may gain, the learning I may achieve, my intuitive understanding, my deliverance from rebirth, and my moral way of living, our successes make these concepts seem pleasant to us, but our failures make them appear deplorable. What is the use of all that? I advise you to remain uniformly quiescent and above all activity. Do not deceive yourselves with conceptual thinking, and do not look anywhere for the truth, for all that is needed is to refrain from allowing concepts to arise. It is obvious that mental concepts and external perceptions are equally misleading, and the way of the Buddhas is as dangerous to you as the way of demons. Though others may talk of the way of the Buddhas as something to be reached by various pious practices and scripture study, you must have nothing to do with such ideas. A perception sudden as blinking that subject and object are one will lead to a deeply mysterious, wordless understanding, and by this understanding you will awake to the truth. When you happen upon someone who has no understanding, you must claim to know nothing. He may be delighted by his discovery of some way to enlightenment, yet if you allow yourselves to be persuaded by him, you will experience no delight at all, but suffer both sorrow and disappointment. Even if you do obtain from him some trifling method, it will only be a thought-constructed thing having nothing to do with the truth. Truth is something never lost to you, even in moments of delusion, nor is it gained at the moment of enlightenment. It depends on nothing and is attached to nothing. It is all-pervading, spotless beauty. It is the self-existent and uncreated absolute. Ah, it is a jewel beyond all price. When a sudden flash of thought occurs in your mind and you see it for a dream or an illusion, then you can enter into the state reached by the Buddhas of the past, not that the Buddhas of the past really exist, or that the Buddhas of the future have not yet come into existence. Above all, have no longing to become a future Buddha. Your sole concern should be, as thought succeeds thought, to avoid clinging to any of them. Nor may you entertain the least ambition to be a Buddha, means an enlightened person here and now. Even if a Buddha arises, do not think of him as enlightened or deluded, good or evil. Hasten to rid yourself of any desire to cling to him. Cut him off in the twinkling of an eye. On no account seek to hold him fast, for 1,000 locks could not stay him, nor 100,000 feet of rope bind him. I will now make luminously clear how to set about being rid of that Buddha. Consider the sunlight. You may say it is near, yet if you follow it from world to world, you will never catch it in your hands. Then you may describe it as far away, and lo, you will see it just before your eyes. Follow it, and behold, it escapes you. Run from it, and it follows you close. You can neither possess it nor have done with it. From this example, you can understand how it is with the true nature of all things, and henceforth there will be no need to grieve or worry about such things. Thus, all the visible universe is the truth, or is Buddha. So are all sounds. Hold fast to one principle, and all others are identical. On seeing one thing, you see all. Because seeing is all, not what one sees. On seeing one thing, you see all. On perceiving any individual's mind, you are perceiving all mind. Perceiving one's mind, one understands the human mind. Obtain a glimpse of one way, and all ways are embraced in your vision. For there is nowhere at all which is devoid of the way. When your glance falls upon a grain of dust, what you see is identical with all the vast world systems with their great rivers and mighty hills. To gaze upon a drop of water is to behold the nature of all waters of the universe. Moreover, in thus contemplating the totality of phenomena, you are contemplating the totality of mind. Mind and all these phenomena are intrinsically void, and yet this mind with which they are identical is no mere nothingness. By this I mean that it does exist, but in a way too marvelous for us to comprehend. When the moment of understanding comes, do not think in terms of understanding, not understanding, or not understanding, for none of these is something to be grasped. This truth of thusness, when grasped, is grasped, but he who grasps it is no more conscious of having done so than someone ignorant of it is conscious of his failure. Questioner: but how can we prevent ourselves from falling into the error of making distinctions between this and that? Wang Po, by realizing that though you eat the whole day through, no single grain has passed your lips, and that a day's journey has not taken you a single step forward. Also, by uniformly abstaining from such notions as self and other, do not permit the events of your daily lives to bind you, but neither withdraw yourselves from them. Avoid the error of thinking in terms of past, present, and future. The past has gone, the present is a fleeting moment, the future has not yet come. When you practice meditation, sit in the proper position, stay tranquil, and do not permit the least movement of your minds to disturb you. This alone is what is called liberation. Be diligent, be diligent. This is a small publication. It's called Krishnamurti at Los Alamos, 1984. He gave a talk there and then answered questions which were submitted to him in writing, and he picked the first and the last of the questions. It says here, his answer to the first question took up most of the 1.5 hours allotted time. His answer to the second question is given below. And that question was, if you were the director of this laboratory, I assume everyone is aware what Los Alamos is. It's the laboratories where the atomic bomb was developed. And now all kinds of different research is going on. If you were the director of this laboratory with responsibility for the defense of the country and recognizing the way things are, how would you direct the activities of the laboratory and research? Krishnamurti, thank God I'm not. But if I am, would I put this question? But if I am, would I put this question? Is the question the right question? Questioner, sir, it's a question trying to find a connection between your theories, your beliefs of mankind, and what we are all trying to do, and the practical everyday problems that we have. Krishnamurti, yes, sir, everyday problems, earning a livelihood, sex, having children or not having children, vocation, which is now becoming imitation, everyday problems of quarrels, disagreements, pain, hurts, suffering. You see, our daily existence and our brains are trained from childhood to solve problems. And the speaker is saying that seeking a solution prevents the understanding of the problem. Our brains are trained to solutions. I have a problem with my wife. What is the solution? Divorce, or going to a lawyer, or adjustment, or running away, all that kind of stuff. But the problem is what? My assertions, my wishes, my fulfillment, and hers. Let's understand that, discuss it, finish it. If I am seeking a solution, I never go into the question. The causation of the problems can be ended, not through a solution, but through the understanding of the problem itself. Sorry, the question is if I am the director. Sir, the answer is that it's the wrong question, because this should have been put right at the beginning of man's history, not now. At the beginning of killing man, one human being killing another human being in the name of religion, in the name of country, in the name of God, in the name of crown and loyalty. My country as opposed to your country, my ideology as opposed to your ideology. I'm a devout Marxist, I'm not, or Leninist, and another is Catholic, and so we are at war with each other. That is the real time to ask this question, not at the end of all this, what should I do? We have brought about this, we have divided the world. You are a Christian, I am black, you are white, you are a Caucasian, and I am Chinese, whatever the beastly thing is. We are divided, we have fought each other from the beginning of time. The Western civilization has killed more people than any other civilization, it is a fact. I'm not against it or for it. Sir, a group of people like you in Los Alamos, you have given your time for destruction and also for construction. You're doing a great deal of benefit, and on the other side you're destroying every human being on earth because you have recognized my country, my responsibilities, my defense. And the Russians are saying exactly the same thing on the other side. India, which has immense poverty, is saying the same thing, building up arms. So what is the answer to this? If I have a group who says, let's forget all nationalism, all religion, let's as human beings solve this problem, how to live together without destruction. If we gave time to all that as a group of absolutely dedicated people who have gathered together at Los Alamos for one purpose and are concerned with all the things we have been talking about, then perhaps there is something new that can take place. Sir, we have never faced death. Oppenheimer in Sanskrit said, I have become death. You know that very well. And we don't understand death either, which we will not go into now. But we have become destroyers, and we also benefit human beings at the same time. Right, sir? I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm not a propagandist, but the world is like this now. Nobody is thinking about it. Nobody has a global outlook, a global feeling for all humanity, not my country. For God's sake. If you went around the world as the speaker does, you would cry for the rest of your life. Pacifism is a reaction to militarism, that's all. The speaker is not a pacifist. Instead, let's look at the cause of all this, the beginning of all this. If the causation is there, if we all seek together the causation, then the thing is solved. But each one has different opinions about the causation and sticks to his opinions, his historical directories. So, sir, there it is. Questioner, sir, if I may say so, I think you have convinced us. Krishnamurti, I'm not convincing anybody. Questioner, maybe I'm not using the proper word. I think you have seen from the silence in the audience that we seem to have enough energy to understand and appreciate the problem. Krishnamurti, no sir, don't say that. Questioner, what I mean is that when once we really try to understand this and do something in that direction, somehow we seem to lack the necessary energy. With a result, we are still not able to make as much progress as we all like. I would like to hear a few comments from you. What is it that is really holding us back? We can see it, We can see the house on fire, but still we are not able to do anything about stopping the fire. Krishnamurti. The house on fire, which we think is out there, is in here. We have to put our house in order first, sir. I was once called by a family whom I have known for some time. Their son came to see me and said, "My father is dying. Will you please come and see him?" And you know, in all families that takes place, the father is dying and they all surround him crying. So I asked the father to chase them out of the room. So he made them leave. And they all left and he locked the door. He said, "I'm dying, disease incurable, and I'm frightened." So I sat with him and held his hand, and he said it was the first time somebody held his hand. And I said, the speaker said to him, "Let's die together." Which means what? He was leaving all his family. He had a lovely house, a very rich man. And I said, "You're leaving all that, and that's what you're afraid of. And also, you're afraid of the unknown, and you're attached. When there's attachment, there's fear, and so on." We talked gently together, and I said, "If there's any kind of attachment, I will die with you. You're free of attachment." So death has an extraordinary meaning in life, to live with death, not separate, dead here and living there, but together. Here are excerpts from the last talk, the last public talk Krishnamurti gave on January 4th, 1986. I read in his biography that he was very ill and had a high fever at the time of giving this talk. Will you kindly participate in what the speaker is talking about? Will you not only follow it, but together participate in it? Not just think about it or casually pay attention to it. One or two things must be made very clear. This is not a personality cult. The speaker has an abomination of all that. Everything he's saying is contradicted if you personally worship an individual or make him into a god. What is important is to listen to what he has to say, share it, not only to listen, but actually to participate in what he's saying. We have talked about life. This is the third talk that was given. We have talked about life, the very complexity of life, the beginning of life. What is life? What is the origin of all this? The marvelous earth, the lovely evening and the early morning sun, the rivers, the valleys, the mountains, and the glory of the land which is being despoiled. If you say the origin of all this is God, then it's finished. Then you can trot along quite happily because you've solved the problem. But if you begin to question, doubt as one should, all gods, all gurus, if you begin to question all that man has put together through a long evolution down the corridors of history, you find this question asked: what is the beginning? What is the origin? How has all this come about? I hope you're asking this question. Don't just listen to the speaker, but share it, tear it to pieces. Don't please accept anything he says. He's not your guru, he's not your leader, he's not your helper. That's the platform, that is the beginning of this talk. This is a very serious talk. And unless your brain is actually active, one is afraid that you won't be able to follow. It would be useless for you and for the speaker to listen to a lot of words. But if we could together take a very long journey, not in terms of time, not in terms of belief or conclusions or theories, but examining very carefully the way of our lives, fear, uncertainty, insecurity, and all the inventions that man has made, including the extraordinary computers. If we take a long journey into this, where are we at the end of 2 million years? Where are we going? Not as some theory, not what some wretched book says, however holy it is, but where are we going? And where have we begun? They're both related to each other. Where we are going and where we began. The beginning may be the ending. Don't agree, find out. There may be no beginning and no ending, and we're going to investigate into that together. From the beginning of time, right down to the present day, man has always thought in terms of religion. What is religion? Man has always sought something more than this world. Men worship the stars, the suns, the moons, and their own creations. There has been tremendous endeavor, effort, energy spent on ancient temples, mosques, and the churches, of course. They have spent tremendous energy on this. What is the spirit of man that has sought something beyond the world, the daily agony, the travail, work, going to the factory, to the office, and climbing the ladder of success, making money, trying to impress people, trying to command? Are you agreeing to this? It is a fact whether you agree or not. They're all seeking power in some form. They want to be at the center of things, in Delhi or here or in other places. They want to be there. We're asking, what is religion? What has made man give enormous treasures to a temple? What made him do all this? What was that energy that was given to all this? Was it fear? Was it seeking a reward from heaven, or whatever you like to call it? Was seeking a reward the origin? You want a reward, you want something in exchange. You pray 3 or 5 times a day, and you hope in return some entity will give you something, from a refrigerator to a car to a better wife or better husband. Or you wait for grace, something that you can hope for and cling to. So this talk was given in Madras. This has been the history of all religions. God and money are always together. We're asking, what is that which is nameless, which is the supreme intelligence, which has no relationship with all our prayers, with all our gods, with all our temples, mosques, churches? That's all man-made. Any intelligent man must put all that aside and not become cynical, not become merely skeptical, but really have an inquiring brain, a brain that's active, a brain that inquires into everything, not only the outside world. Have we got a brain that is inquiring into its own thoughts, into its own consciousness, into its own pains, sufferings, all the rest of it? Have we got such a brain? Here we must separate the brain from the mind. The brain is the center of all our nerves, all our knowledge, all our theories, opinions, prejudices. From college, university, all that knowledge is gathered in the skull. All the thoughts, all the fears are there. Is the brain different from the mind? If you seriously pay attention to what the speaker has asked, Is there a difference between the brain, your brain, what is inside the skull with all the knowledge you have gathered, not only you but your forefathers and so on, for 2 million years? It is all encased in there. So that brain will always be limited. Don't agree. This is much too serious. And is the mind different from this, from my consciousness, from my daily activities, from my fears, anxieties, uncertainties, sorrow, pain, and all the theories which man has gathered about everything? The mind has no relationship with the brain. It can communicate with the brain, but the brain cannot communicate with it. Don't agree, please. That's the last thing to do. The speaker is saying the brain is the keeper of all of our consciousness, of our thoughts, of our fears, and so on and so on and so on. All the gods, all the theories about gods, and all the unbelievers, it's all there. Nobody can dispute that unless he's a little bit odd. This brain, which is conditioned by knowledge, by experience, by tradition, cannot have any communication with that mind which is totally outside the activity of the brain. That mind can communicate with the brain, but the brain cannot communicate with it because the brain can imagine infinitely. The mind is too immense because it doesn't belong to you. It is not your mind. We have also to inquire, this is a very serious subject, into what is creation. Not the creation of a baby, that's very simple, or the creation of a new something or other. Invention is totally different from creation. Invention is based on knowledge. The engineers can improve the jet. The improvement is based on knowledge, and the invention is also based on knowledge. So we must separate invention from creation. This requires your total energy, your capacity to penetrate. Invention is essentially based on knowledge. I improve the clock, I have a new gadget. All invention is based on knowledge, on experience. Inventions are inevitably limited because they are based on knowledge. Knowledge being ever limited, invention must always be limited. In the future there may be no jets, but something else that will go from Delhi to Los Angeles in 2 hours. That's an invention based on previous knowledge, which has been improved step by step by step, but that's not creation. So what is creation? What is life? Life in the tree, life in the little grass, life not what scientists invent, but the beginning of life. Life, the thing that lives. You may kill it, but it's still there in the other. Don't agree or disagree, but see that we're inquiring into the origin of life. We're going to inquire into the absolute, something that is really marvelous. It's not a reward. You can't take it home and use it. What is meditation to you? What is meditation? How can one explain a meditation that has no measurement, that has no achievement, that does not say, I am this, but I will become that? That being God or super angel. Is there a meditation which has nothing to do with will, an energy that says, I must meditate? Is there a meditation which has nothing to do with effort at all? The speaker says there is. You don't have to accept it. He may be talking nonsense, but he sees logically that the ordinary meditation is self-hypnosis, deceiving oneself. And when you stop deceiving, stop all that mechanical process, is there a different kind of meditation? And unfortunately, the speaker says yes. You can't get at it through effort, through giving all your energy to something. It is something that has to be absolutely silent. First of all, begin very humbly, very, very humbly, and therefore very gently. And therefore no pushing, driving, saying, I must do this. It requires a tremendous sense, not only of aloneness, but a sense, I mustn't describe it to you, because then you will go off on descriptions. If I describe it, the description is not the real. The description of the moon is not the moon, and the painting of the Himalayas is not the Himalayas. So we'll stop describing. It's for you to play with it or not play with it, going your own way with your own peculiar achievements through meditation, reward, and all the rest of it. So, in meditation, which is absolutely no effort, no achievement, no thinking, the brain is quiet. Not made quiet by will, by intention, by conclusion and all that nonsense. It is quiet. And being quiet, it has infinite space. Are you waiting for me to explore? So, we're now going back to find out what creation is. What is creation? It has nothing to do with invention. What is creation? The origin, the beginning. What is life? Tell me what you think of it. What is life? Not going to the office and all the rest of it, sex and children or no children, but sex and so on and so on and so on. What is a life? What gives life to that blade of grass in the cement? What is life in us? Not all the things that we go through, power, position, prestige, fame or no fame, but shame. That's not life. That's part of mishandling of life. But what is life? Why are you listening to me? What makes you, if you're listening at all, listen to the man? What is the motive behind your listening? What do you want? What's your desire? Behind the desire, there's a motive. So what is desire? Desire is part of sensation, isn't it? I see this beautiful clock, it's a sensation. The seeing brings about a sensation. From that sensation, thought comes and makes an image of it. That is, I see the clock, rather nice, I would like to have it. The sensation of seeing, then thought coming and making an image of that sensation, and at that moment desire is born. It's very simple. What is the origin of life? Are you waiting for me to answer it? This is much too serious a subject for you to play with, because we're trying to inquire into something that has no name, no end. I can kill that bird, there's another bird. I can't kill all birds. There are too many of them in the world. So we are inquiring into what makes a bird. What is creation behind all this? Are you waiting for me to describe it, go into it? You want me to go into it? Why? From the audience, to understand what creation is. Krishnamurti, why do you ask that? Because I asked. No description can ever describe the origin. The origin is nameless, it is absolutely quiet, it is not worrying about making noise. Creation is something that is most holy, that's the most sacred thing in life. And if you have made a mess of your life, change it. Change it today, not tomorrow. If you're uncertain, find out why and be certain. If your thinking is not straight, think straight, logically. Unless all that is prepared, all that is settled, you can't enter into this world, into the world of creation. it ends. This is the last talk. Do you want to sit together quietly for a while? All right, sit quietly for a while. May we get up and go now? We will end here for today.